In this video, I'm going to share you a trick pulled from the way Olympic athletes train as a way to finish more work in less time. But first, I want to talk about 3 common problems that were brought to me by readers. The first was a person who her main problem was procrastination. She had a lot of work to do, but she was constantly procrastinating. The second person, his main problem was that he had difficulty balancing his work life and his social life. He wanted to have both, but he found it difficult with the workload. The third person was constantly feeling exhausted and burnt out. He had so much work that he had to do that he found it difficult to keep up. Now, maybe you are like one of these people. Maybe you procrastinate, or maybe you feel burnt out, or maybe you find it difficult to balance your social life or work life. But the goal with this technique is that it can actually help solve all 3 problems. Now, this idea was pulled from a book called The Power of Full Engagement, and I strongly recommend, if you're interested in this idea, to get that book because it's a great read and it goes into a lot more detail. But the idea in the book was that Olympic athletes do not train non-stop. They carefully alternate between periods of intense exercise and deep relaxation. And the insight of the book is that if you're doing mental work, and that's if you're learning or doing something creative, you're definitely doing mental work, then you should be working the same way Olympic athletes train, by alternating between intense periods of work followed by deep relaxation. Now, the way you can do this is through top heaviness. Now, something is top heavy when there is more weight on the beginning than on the end. So in the context of a day, this means that you're doing most of the work in the morning and less in the later afternoon and evening. In the context of a week, this means you're doing most of the work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and less on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. In the context of a project, this means you're doing most of the work early in the timeline and less right before the deadline. Now, how does top heaviness help solve the 3 problems that I brought up? Well, it helps solve procrastination because if you think about it, even people who procrastinate a lot don't procrastinate all the time. Usually right before a deadline, they're able to summon up the energy and work really hard to accomplish it. Now, why is that? That's because procrastination is like an on-off switch. It needs a certain threshold of motivation and pressure in order to flip the switch and start working. But once it's flipped, it's fairly easy. Now, if you spread your work evenly throughout the week, then you may have a large amount of total work, but at no specific point in time do you have enough threshold to flip that switch and start working intensely. So having a top-heavy schedule builds up the pressure in the beginning part of the week so you can get a lot of work done, so that it doesn't matter that you occasionally procrastinate later in the week because you have so much more time to do everything. What if you're trying to balance your social life and your work life? Well, here the same thing applies. If you have an even schedule, it's very difficult to know when you should be relaxing and when you should be working hard. If you have a top-heavy schedule, you know which days you should be working hard and you need to be focused on work. And the other days, you can spend them relaxing a bit more, socializing, doing extracurricular activities. The key to balance is separation. Top heaviness allows you to achieve that. Finally, if you're feeling burnt out, top heaviness can even help there. And the reason is that people have a common misconception about burnout, that it's caused by working too hard. And while that's partially true, the real culprit is not relaxing enough afterwards to recover that energy. And if you think about it, think about someone who exercises for a short burst of time. Usually right afterwards, they have even more energy than they did before they started exercising. Now, this doesn't really go with the model of work drains your energy and it causes you to burn out. But the key is, it gives you more energy provided that you relax afterwards and recover your energy reserves. So if you have a top-heavy schedule, you can actually work really intensely and a lot longer than you would normally be able to for a short period of time, but only if you follow that up with a longer period of relaxation and rest. So if you want to avoid burnout, the key is to avoid that continuous non-stop schedule which never allows you to recover your energy, and focus on a top-heavy schedule which forces you to work even harder for a short period of time, but allows you to follow that up with an even longer period of relaxation where you can really recover your energy. So how do you implement this? Well, if you're using my weekly daily goals approach, which uses a weekly and daily to-do list, couldn't be simpler. All you do is add more work to your Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday lists. What if you're using a scheduled approach like Cal Newport's fixed schedule productivity? Well, the same thing applies. You just make your Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday days a bit harder. So maybe you're working 10 hours that day, you're waking up really early to start work. And on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you're working a little bit less, maybe only 4 to 6 hours because of all the work you got done earlier in the week. Now, this is something that a lot of people bring up. Well, how are you going to actually implement this? It'd be nice to be so proactive, but I have a difficult time getting stuff done by the deadline, never mind doing things well in advance. Well, part of the key is having a system like weekly daily goals or fixed schedule productivity, which can help tell you when to do certain activities. But the other part of it is top heaviness is easier than you think, because by having that relaxation time at the end, it gives you the energy to focus and work really hard in that short period of time. The reason that it's hard to do 12 hours days of studying normally is because it's very difficult to do that without having a relaxation period time at the end. So try this out in your own schedule. For the next week, try doing most of your work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and try doing more of it in the morning than in the later afternoon or evening. Try out this schedule. It can help you avoid procrastination, help you maintain work-life balance, and most importantly, it can help you avoid burnout and give you the energy to actually accomplish your work and enjoy your life.